Good evening. Good evening, Nitin. Good evening to all of you. After a long time. Good evening. Good evening, Shushmita, Vishwas, Arif. Namaskar. Good evening. अभिमन्यु क्या पढ़ाएंगे सर जी? अभी अभी रिवील करता हूँ what I'm going to. Yes, long time. So today I'm going to start a conventional topic. Good evening, Divyanshu. So today I'm going to start a one conventional topic, and it is a conventional topic because it's a part of economics, right? It's a part of economics. What kind of the economics you are studying? It's important, but it's one of the core thing also. Most of the time we go for only the indicator, but because we have to understand this subject in total, so that is why the proper understanding is required. And the topic is, just give me a second. Topic is national income and its accounting, right? So national income and its accounting. Don't worry, Abhimanyu. I am going to make it crystal clear, and I'll ask you once the topic is about to over. I will ask you share your experience, right? So no need to worry. All that this NNP, GDP, GNP, NNP, lot of P, whatever the P are there, all the P's are going to be crystal clear in this chapter. No need to worry. And for that, I'm not going to take a bookish or conventional approach. I'm going to take some unconventional approach to make you first understand, right? What is it, right? What is it? Then I'll go in the conventional way, right? The bookish way, how they are going to give you circular flow of income, GDP at market price, GDP at factor cost, all these things. I'll take it later, but I'll give you some informal way of understanding. Once you will get it informally, automatically the formal way of understanding will go in the proper flow, right? But this topic, national income and its accounting, whenever this topic will come, automatically the first thing come in our mind is GDP. GDP, that stand for gross domestic product, right? So we will take it as a centerpiece of this entire study of national income and accounting. GDP is going to be the centerpiece, right? But if you will see this topic in the subject of economics, it came in the picture only seriously, means governments, economists, they are not very concerned about the national income till then 1920s and 30s. It was the interwar period. Interwar period means the time period between World War One and World War Two. That was a time period when economists were asked to focus on this thing. It was not a way, means economists, they are concerned with what? If you will see the development of this subject from 1700, right? From 1700 till then date. till then date, if you will see the development of the subject of economics, from 1700 till then 1920 to 1930, economists were not interested to take the study of national income and all. Their focus area was what? Interest rates, market, okay, labor wages, recession, business cycle, all these things they are concerned with. Money supply, monetary aggregates, all these things were their focused area, right? National income and its accounting was not their area at all. However, there is a some section who insisted, there is a part of government who insisted the government ki we need to know about the national income, and we want to know in the proper manner. And do you know who are having the interest to know the national income? They are not people who are bureaucrats, they are not people who are economists, they are military people. Military people, especially the military generals, senior military generals, they are interested to know about the national income of a country. Especially in the Britain, France, US, they are more interested to know about the national income. Now question arises ki why military generals are interested to know the national income, especially during the interwar period. Once the First World War was happened, countries were devastated, right, because of the war. And after the war, the things which was happening in the world, especially in the Europe and America, these military people also know that there will be another war. That is inevitable. Definitely there will be another war, and we must have to prepare for that war. And to prepare for any war, you need what? Arms, ammunitions, soldiers, medical supplies, right? Better facilities, and for all of these things, what you need? Money supply. So continuously, money supply should be there. So any country, how he can project to what extent I can sustain the war, to what extent I can sustain the war. For example, if India is on war, for example, if it's India on war, India can sustain itself for 3 months. Okay, whatever the foreign currency reserve we do have today, with that foreign currency reserve, we can manage our import for next 10 months, right? So this is why the foreign currency reserves are very important, and that is why periodic calculations are being there ki we should see the periodic calculations how much we do have. Similarly, to fund the war, military generals want to know ki to what extent we can sustain the war, we can fight the war, and for that it is very important to know how much resources we do have. Okay, how much resources we do have. So this is why it's very important to calculate the national income, right? So this was the reason why they insisted to know the exact data figure to estimate what exactly we are able to generate as an income, right? So this was the main reason to emphasis on this thing, right? Now, okay, fine. We identified the area where we have to work, right? National income, identify it and calculate it. And for any calculation, we need complex mathematical operations, right? We need complex mathematical operations. If you will see the list of the great economists we do have in past, right? In past means till the 1920s. So these economists are basically are coming from humanities background. They studied philosophy, they studied other humanitarian subject, humanities subject, but they are not coming from properly mathematical background except few economists. Most of them they are coming from a humanities background. So if you are coming humanities background, then you have to involve in complex mathematical algebraic calculations and other calculations. It is going to be quite difficult for you. So this is why generally there was a no breakthrough in that area. However, there was a mathematician in Russia under Soviet Union, but he was more and keen interested to study the economics. But the government has defined that ki this is your area and you have to work here. But he was always passionate about the study of the economics, right? So he just requested their government in the Soviet Russia ki I want to deliver a lecture in United States of America on the mathematics. Please allow. So their government allowed him, and he went to the US. And in the US, he actually published his research, and that research was involved both economics plus using of mathematics and statistics. Statistics, mathematics, and economics, he used all these things, and he published a research paper. And that research paper was so interesting, and it was very important research paper. The entire community of economists in US, they got impressed. And even on his research paper, on the basis of his research paper, he was allowed to deliver a lecture in US Congress. In US Congress, he was allowed, means giving an best opportunity. For example, if you are being allowed to deliver a lecture in the Parliament of India, right? So Parliament of India means representative of more than 140 crore people are being there, and you are going to address them. Means indirectly you are going to address the entire nation. So this is kind of the rare opportunity, or you can say the honor. So that honor was given to that person, and he delivered. And in his speech, he used mathematical things. He told how the mathematical operations can be used to analyze this thing. And his research was basically based on this GDP. And the name of this person was Simon Kuznets. Basically born in Russia, but he went to the US, and there he got the citizenship of the United States of America, and he has given this concept of GDP. And as I am telling you again and again, he extensively used mathematics and statistics for the calculation purpose, and he made subject of economics more empirical in nature. What empirical means? I have used this term empirical in the nature. So when I say that our economy is rising, there is one generic statement: our economy is rising. But if I will tell you our employment rate was this, now it is this. Our GDP rate was this earlier, now it is this. Our savings rate of entire India, earlier it was this, now it is this. So I am telling you in terms of more data and stats. And on the basis of data and stats, I am telling you the country is progressing. So there is a way just telling in the political way ki my country is progressing or not progressing, and there is a way with the basis of empirical data. But the problem with the empirical data, to process it, and to process we need maths, statistics, and all. So he was a person, he effectively utilized some areas of maths, some areas of statistics for the purpose of study of subject of economics, right? So the way he developed is known as econometrics. So he was considered as a founding father of econometrics, and in this econometrics we do use all the complex mathematical operations to calculate the desired thing, whether it is GDP, money supply, whatever. So whatever you are using the mathematical part and statistical part in the economics, that was given or initiated by the Simon Kuznets through the econometrics. So what is the econometrics? Econometrics is a branch of economics where we do use mathematics and statistics for the purpose of studying of economics. This is econometrics, right? So when he has given the concept of GDP, he extensively used the econometrics in order to calculate the GDP, that is gross domestic product, right? So is it clear whatever I have explained you till then now? Is it clear? Any doubt? अभिमन्यु ओके, प्रज्ञा अगर आज क्लियर हो जाए तो हेल्पफुल रहेगा सर। आज क्लियर हो जाएगा कि नहीं, आई एम नॉट वेरी श्योर बिकॉज आई टेक माई ओन टाइम टू एक्सप्लेन द थिंग्स प्रॉपरली, right? So I'm not going to give you my word ki I'll explain all these things today, but you have to continue with these lectures. Definitely the things will be clear. See, learning take times, right? And I am never in hurry to wind up the things. I always take time, but whatever I'm going to give you, that is going to be consolidated for the long time. That is my guarantee. Okay. Sir, I have just started following YouTube classes. Indian financial system is going on. I was watching the budget videos. So really great explanation. Structure is really okay. Thank you. Okay, शक्ति गुरुजी, सेबी के लिए इंग्लिश डिस्क्रिप्टिव का बैच लॉन्च होगा क्या? Descriptive English, Shakti, please ask to admin. They'll answer this question. Okay, very clear, sir. Sir, but बहुत बार पढ़ा जीडीपी बट इतना डेप्थ में मैथमेटिकल टर्म्स एंड ऑल. अच्छा, ओके. We don't go for the calculations. I'm not going for the calculations how GDP is, numerical calculations I'm not going to use because in your exam numerical calculations will be not there. I'll let you know how it is calculated. I'm not going to calculate it, but I'll let you know the way how to calculate it, right? Fine. So in this way he has given this idea. So when he has given, sir, will you be able also to coming up with the economic survey series? Yes. I'll come with the economic survey also. Now completely focus here only. Rest of the question I will answer later. I'm in the mood to carry forward this GDP and all. So focus, right? So so this GDP, he just given his explanation about the GDP. Roughly what he told the politicians in the United States Congress, he told that ki GDP is roughly, that is gross domestic product. So people asked him, what is it? You are saying that it is gross domestic product, but we are the politicians, we don't know what do you mean by gross domestic product. Will you please elaborate? So he said that if just I want to elaborate, it is just he defined total factor income generated by residents of a country during a financial year. Total factor income generated by residents of a country during a financial year. After reading this thing, total factor income, lot of people who have already studied economics, they raise their eyebrow. Sir, it may be the market price also, something like that. Fine, each and everything is fine, but just focus what I am explaining you right now. We will come to the market price, we will come to the each and everything. Just focus and understand it carefully, right? All the things are going to be crystal clear later on, but as I'm doing in each and every area, I am just telling you what, be patient, listen very carefully. At the towards the end, each and everything is going to be the crystal clear. The same approach here. When he was asked what is GDP, he defined GDP, the total factor income generated by residents of a country during a financial year, right? So to understand the GDP, the first and important thing, we must know the residents, the country, and what is factor income. If we want to know how Simon Kuznets explained GDP, we must know these three things. What is total factor income, who are the residents, and what is country, right? So generally country means what? Country means our geographical entity, right? Yes. So country इस जोग्राफिकल एंटाइटी सर ये सिलेबस में क्या और वी आर स्टडिंग फॉर जेनरिक नॉलेज अभिमन्यु जी इट इज नॉट अ जेनरिक थिंग इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ सिलेबस सो काइंडली फोकस rather than asking here and there other questions focus what I am teaching okay so one thing with this definition is crystal clear GDP, that is gross domestic product, right? Gross domestic product is defined for a particular territory. It is going to be defined for GDP of India. It is going to be defined for GDP of US. It is going to be defined for GDP of Britain. So GDP is of India. GDP is not of Indians. So those people who are living in the territory of India, for them we define the GDP. So GDP is a territory based phenomena. There are some Indians who are Indians but they are not living in India, right? They are Indians but they are not living in India. So we are not concerned with them. We are concerned with them with whom? The country. So let's define the country first. So the clarity will be there. So if I have to define India, how I can define India? The land boundaries. The land boundaries of country, right? So our land boundaries are clearly demarcated. So any income which is going to be generated in the land boundaries of India, any income, any factor income is going to be generated in the land boundaries of India, that is going to be the part of India's GDP. Is it clear? That is regarding land boundaries. But India is not a landlocked country. India have also what? India also have sea boundaries, right? So regarding sea boundaries, we have territorial water. When we call as a sea boundaries, we have a territorial water, and then we have exclusive economic zone. Exclusive economic zone. Can anybody tell me the exclusive economic zone? The exclusive economic zone can be extended to what length? To how much is? To what extent we can claim it is an exclusive economic zone? Can anybody tell me? Exclusive economic zone? To what extent? Anyone? 200 nautical miles. right? So nautical miles will be used. Just check and tell me. Yes, 370 kilometer. That is 200 nautical miles, because one nautical mile is somewhere around. Just let me check. One nautical miles is equal to. Yes, 1.852 kilometer. 1.852 kilometer. So just clearly explaining you, suppose that this is our land boundary, right? This is our land boundary, and from here there is a water, right? This is sea area, fine, and this is our seashore. So this is 12 nautical miles, and from here to here 200 nautical miles. This is our exclusive economic zone. Now try to understand what is the difference between this territorial water, what is the difference between territorial water and exclusive economic zone, right? What is the difference between this territorial water and exclusive economic zone? If any area, if any area is your what? If any area is your territorial water, right? This is our territorial water. So listen very carefully. In territorial water, no ship, surface ship, below the surface, above the surface, on the surface. Any kind of the foreign vessel, any kind of the foreign vessel on the floor means on the sea, below the sea, and above the sea means any aircraft, ship, submarine. No kind of the vessel can enter in this area without taking formal permission of government of India. If you will enter in this area without formal permission of government of India, then government of India have full right to hit you to whatever extent they want, right? That is going to consider as an attack on us, and we are ready to take any kind of the action if you will enter in that area, whether it is a merchant ship or it is a military vessel. You must take permission of government of India to enter in the territorial water of India. Okay, so this is regarding territorial water. So this is the territorial water. Okay. And this territorial water and the rest of the part means from here to this part. This part is our what? This part is our exclusive economic zone. So some part of the exclusive economic zone is also territorial water. Territorial water and exclusive economic zone. Exclusive economic zone we can claim till then 200 nautical miles. Okay. So till then 200 nautical miles we can say that it is we can say that it is our exclusive economic zone. What it means that? It means that any kind of the economic activity, any kind of the economic activity, whether it is fishing or oil exploration, in this EEZ, all economic activities are reserved for India only. So all economic activity are reserved for India only, means like fishing, oil exploration, any kind of this commercial activity, it is an exclusive right of India. However, this area, especially this area, which is only exclusive economic zone. See, exclusive economic zone is of 200 nautical miles. And out of this 200 nautical miles, 12 nautical miles is what? Territorial water. So no country ship, submarine or aircraft can enter in this area. But in this area, which is a part of exclusive economic zone but not territorial water, any country's ship, submarine or aircraft can enter in this area under the freedom of navigation. But to do any economic activity like fishing, mining, exploration, for that, who reserve the right? India reserves the right. That means if any fishing activity is going to be happen in this area and income is going to be generated, that will be come under the GDP of India. That will come under the category means GDP of India. Fine. So I hope you have a clarity regarding the difference between territorial water and exclusive economic zone. The entire South China Sea dispute is related to this only, right? The exclusive economic zone claim. Now I'll explain. This is a good question because, for example, India and Bangladesh, India and Pakistan, India and Sri Lanka, they all share the boundaries. They all share the sea boundaries. So, how to decide who have the right over the exclusive economic zone and to what extent? These questions come, right? So, the first way to resolve this question is continental shelf. Continental shelf. Continental shelf means what? Suppose that this is your land and here the sea is started and this is your land. And lands, you know that they are made of plates, different tectonic plates. So suppose that your plate is broken here and new plate is there, right? New plate is there. So you can extend your claim till then here. So where the plate is there, the continental shelf, so till then continental shelf, you can claim that this is my exclusive economic zone, right? So this is one way. Suppose that two countries are part of same plate. For example, India and Bangladesh. So India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, they are all part of same plate. So for that, there is UNC Law Convention. There is a UNC Law Convention, and you can use that convention to identify the boundaries. Still, you have a dispute, then you can go to the UN Sea Law Convention Court. Both parties will go and they claim and counterclaim, and finally the verdict will be given by the court, which is going to be bound by both parties. The case of India and Bangladesh. For case of India and Bangladesh, for example, this is part of India and from here Bangladesh is there, right? This is the boundary of India and Bangladesh. So India was claiming that this is our exclusive economic zone area. This is our exclusive economic zone area. It was claimed by India. India was claiming this part. Whereas Bangladesh was claiming this part, that this is our exclusive economic zone. So there was a dispute. Finally, both parties went to the UNC Law Convention, and UNC Law Convention said that this area comes under the Bangladesh Exclusive Economic Zone. So this area can be taken by India, but this area should be given to Bangladesh as an exclusive economic zone. Right. So this was the verdict given by the court, and India happily accepted कि okay, fine, we have no issues. We have no issues. We will give this part to Bangladesh as an exclusive economic zone. So this part was given to Bangladesh. Whereas in the case of China, 3 years back, the international court said that you have to give that area. China outrightly refused. I am not going to give that part to any country. Whosoever, whatsoever they want to do it, but we will not give you. Right. So sometimes what? If you are powerful, then you can use this thing, might is right. Right. And despite lot of pressure created by international community, China has refused. We are not going to accept whatever the proposal you are going to give. Right. So this is the way how they have explained the territorial water and exclusive economic zone. I hope the clarity is there. Is it clear? Is it clear? How the boundary is decided, exclusive economic zone, territorial water. Okay. So I told you for understanding the GDP, we need to understand three things. One is country, then we have to understand resident, then we will come to factor income. Right. So I have already defined the country inclusive of land boundaries plus sea boundaries. Okay. Now let's define who are the resident. थोड़ा स्पीड में आइए सर. नहीं, अभी स्पीड में जरूरत नहीं है. मुझे पता है कब स्पीड में आना है. आप लेक्चर पे फोकस करिए. यू शुड फोकस ऑन द लेक्चर. आई नो व्हेन आई हैव टू shift the gears. Now come to the resident part. How to define the resident? As per the definition given by the Reserve Bank of India under Foreign Exchange Management Act, FEMA, any person who is residing in India, listen very carefully, any person who is residing in India for more than 182 days, any person who is residing in India for more than 182 days for the purpose of income generation shall be considered as a resident. Shall be considered as a resident, right? So if you are in India, some students said that, sir, I'm Indian. Fine, you are Indian, but let's focus on the definition, because we have to define something. So if a person is in India for the purpose of income generation and he is in India for more than 182 days, he will be considered as what? Resident. And whatever the income is going to be generated as a resident, it will be the part of India's GDP. So first condition is what? You should be in the country. So this is my country. Now here there are two kind of the people: resident Indians, non-resident Indians. Right? Those who are Indians and residing here, they are Indians. There are some Indians, for example, Ellen Mittal, Lakshmi Nivas Mittal. He is an Indian. He born in India. He is an Indian citizen, but he live in UK. Right? He lives in UK. So Lakshmi Nivas Mittal will not considered as a resident Indian, right? So if you are in India and you are here for the purpose of income generation, you will be considered as a resident. Otherwise, you will be not considered as a resident. One doubt, sir. Indian embassy. आ रहा हूँ embassy पे आ रहा हूँ. Coming on embassy. Don't worry. Coming to the embassy. But before coming to the embassy, I have a question for you. You have seen that recently there was an auction of IPL was concluded, right? In the IPL auction, a lot of Indian players and foreign players were auctioned, right? Just take an example of any foreign player. For example, just take an example of Kane Williamson. So Kane Williamson is from New Zealand, right? He is from New Zealand and he is going to earn some money in the upcoming IPL 2022. Anyone can tell me how much he is going to get in the IPL for this year? Kane Williamson? Any Kane Williamson fan or Sunrisers Hyderabad fan can tell me how much Kane Williamson is going to get for 2022. Chalo, just take it as a 10 crores. So my question is, this 10 crore, what he is going to get from IPL 2022, is it going to be the part of India's GDP or New Zealand's GDP? 10 crore, suppose that he is going to get 10 crore, right? Venkat Raman, I'm from Hyderabad, sir. I'm also from Hyderabad. Jyoti Singh is saying 14 crore, Venkat is saying 12 crore, and that's why Venkat is saying that 12 crore. Okay, fine. Just consider is a 10 crore. Just consider as of right now, consider as a 10 crore and tell me that 10 crores is going to be the part of India's GDP or New Zealand's GDP. Kane Williamson can be considered as a resident Indian or not? If you are able to answer, then automatically you are able to answer my question. The question is whether Kane Williamson is going to be considered as a resident Indian for this income of 10 crore, yes or no? New Zealand's GDP. Now, see, most of the people will think that it will go to the New Zealand's GDP, but answer is it is going to be the part of India's GDP. Then you can say that, ki, sir, you just told us that ki you are in India for 182 days minimum, only then you will be considered as a resident. This is what I told you, na? So this is what I told you. Minimum 182 days you should be the resident of India for the purpose of income generation. Only then you are going to be the part of resident. Whereas IPL will go for maximum 2 to 3 months and it is not going to fulfill this condition. Then how Kane Williamson can be considered as an Indian resident? My counter question is is this amount which is going to be given to Kane Williamson only for 2-3 months or for season 2022? The amount which is supposed to be given to Kane Williamson or any foreign player, that is for only 2-3 months or a year. It is for year, na? It is for what? It is for year, IPL for 2022. So the contract is being given for 1 year. Any player who is going to sign this contract, that is for 1 year. Maybe you are going to be physically available in India to play this IPL, and that is for 2 months, but your contract is signed for a year for IPL 2022. So, because your contract is for 2022, and for fulfilling that contract, you must be in India physically for at least the IPL games. That is fine, but your contract is being done for an year. IPL 2022 for a year. So automatically you will be considered as a resident Indian, and your income will be the part of India's GDP. Right? Another example to explain you. For example, in our country we have embassies. We have embassies and high commissions. Embassies and high commission, those countries who are part of Commonwealth, for them we use this term high commission, and those who are not part of the Commonwealth we use the term embassy. For example, British High Commission, whereas US Embassy. British High Commission, Sri Lankan High Commission, Pakistan High Commission, all these countries are the part of Commonwealth countries group. So if you are the part of Commonwealth countries group, then it is known as High Commission, whereas otherwise it is known as embassy. Now question, why it is known as High Commission? The thing is all these countries are the former part of British colony, right? So Britain was a single country. Britain was a single country. So for single country Britain and India, Bangladesh or Pakistan, all these the part of British, right? So rather than having an embassy, there was an office, and from their office you have to take permission to go from one area to another area. So rather than calling it embassy, they do call as a High Commission office. So that's why this acronym is still being used, High Commission. Right. So this is why the term High Commission is used. And what is embassy? Now just understand what is embassy. That is, suppose that your country, right? It is your country, it is India. And this is US Embassy, right? So in the US Embassy, this US Embassy, this part of the territory, to explain you, I just can say that this is United States of America in India. What it means that? It means that this is the US territory in the India. Means in this embassy, Indian rules and regulations will be not applicable. Only US rules and regulations are going to be applicable in this region. Right? In this region. Similarly, if there is any country, for example, I'll give you the good understanding by this example. Suppose that this is Pakistan and it is Indian Embassy. This country is Pakistan and this is Indian Embassy. Right? Or High Commission. This is Indian High Commission in Pakistan. And suppose that some Indian who is working for the spy agency, like RAW or any other spy agency, he is being chased by the Pakistani enforcement agencies. Anyhow, he is able to reach in the High Commission office. So if he is able to reach High Commission office, nobody from Pakistan can do anything except asking him to leave the country on immediate basis. You can't do anything. If he is able to reach the Indian High Commission office, no Pakistani can enter in the High Commission of India without the permission of Indian government. You cannot, as per the diplomatic rules, right? You cannot enter. Same thing is for what? Same thing is for Pakistan also. So in past, a lot of times this thing happened. Some Pakistani agent was being chased by our armed forces, but anyhow he's managed to enter in the Pakistan High Commission, right? And that is why you are not able to do anything else. Just force the Pakistani government to ask him to expel from your country, right? So this is how this embassy will work. So embassy is a kind of place in other country where your jurisdiction will be there, right? And that host country can't do anything until unless that person is in that embassy. So this is why the most of the raw agents who are working for the external uh, security, right? Research analysis wing, they go to other countries with what? With as an embassy official. So if you are disguised as an embassy official, despite other country know that you are a spy, but you have a formal designation of what? You have a formal designation of an employee of what? Embassy. So you will get the diplomatic immunity. So this is how the spy games will be played. Anyways, our focus is different. So suppose that in this US embassy, two people are working, person A and person B. Person B is of USA. He came to India and he is working here. He is working here in US embassy, right? Whereas the person A is Hindi translator and he is from Delhi, right? He is from Delhi, but he is working at US embassy and he is getting the salary of suppose that 35,000, right? So he is getting the salary of 35,000, whereas the person B, he is getting the salary of suppose that $3,000. Fine. So he is getting the salary of $3,000 and he is drawing the salary of 35,000 Indian rupees, where he is working in the US embassy. So if you are working in an embassy, that means you are working in other country, because that place maybe it is in your territory, but it will be considered as other country's place. So if you are working in India in US embassy, this amount will go to US GDP, and this amount will also go to the USA's GDP. Whereas if a person who is working in Indian embassy in any other country, whatever the income or salary he is going to draw, that is going to be the part of India's GDP. So for example, any of you will start working in the US embassy in USA, whatever the income you are going to generate there while working in the embassy, that is going to be the part of India's GDP rather than USA's GDP. And this is going to be only for embassies. This is only going to be for embassies, because these are the different thing. Whereas suppose that if you are working in USA in TCS have their offices in USA, right? TCS is a company working in USA, right? Working means there is a company in the United States of America that is Indian company, and you are working here. Suppose that person C is working here, and he is getting the salary of $3,000, right? So this C is going to be considered as resident of USA. He is going to be considered as a resident of USA, and his income is going to be the part of USA's GDP. Whereas this is Indian embassy in USA, and there is one Indian who is from India and he is working here and he is also getting the salary of $3,000. So his salary will be the part of which country's GDP? His salary will be the part of India's GDP. Is it clear? Sir, if Kasab would have gone to the Pakistan, if Kasab was in India and he was working in India, so he is going to be considered as an Indian resident, right? First of all, if he is going back to the Pakistan, Pakistan is not going to accept him, right? They do not have this courage and all thing. They are not going to accept him. But yes, if he is going back to his country, then obviously whatever the income he is going to generate there, that income is going to be the part of Pakistan's GDP. Concept should be very clear, right? Ki where the income is going to be generated, right? First, you have to be very clear where the income is being generated. Whenever we have to understand about income, national income, or anything, we first have to keep this thing in our mind ki where this income is going to be generated. Where? Where is very important. So, where means country. Define the territorial area. So, territorial area I have defined. If you have confusion, use these concepts, right? So, for example, fishing boat, any fishing boat a fishing boat is in Bay of Bengal, right? Is fishing boat, suppose that the Chinese fishing boat is in Bay of Bengal, right? And they are doing the fishing activity. So now question arises to which country is GDP? It is going to be the part. So if question is see, consider this as a question. A Chinese fishing boat is doing the fishing activity in the Bay of Bengal. A Chinese fishing boat is there which is doing the fishing activity in the Bay of Bengal. Then the GDP of the income of that fishing boat will be the part of India's GDP, Sri Lanka's GDP, Bangladesh GDP, or China's GDP. What is the question? Question is a Chinese fishing boat is doing the fishing activity in Bay of Bengal. Then the income generated by that fishing boat will be the part of which country's GDP. So now, because that is Bay of Bengal, people will feel that ki Bay of Bengal either for India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. Why China? See, here in this question, they have not demarcated where that fishing boat exactly it is. It is not clear whether it is in India's exclusive economic zone or Bangladesh exclusive economic zone or Sri Lanka's exclusive economic zone. Then automatically that means it is in Bay of Bengal, but it is in international water. So if it is in the international water, then automatically answer will be China. If they are going to say that ki a Chinese fishing boat, if question is a Chinese fishing boat is 100 nautical miles away from Vizag, that is Vishakhapatnam. A Chinese fishing boat is 100 nautical miles away from Vizag. Then income generated by this fishing boat will be part of. Then answer will be what? India, because it is under the 200 nautical miles of it is in the India's exclusive economic zone. So if it is India's exclusive economic zone, then automatically it is going to be what? Then automatically it is going to be the part of India's GDP. Okay. So what about the birth of a child in the embassy? I teach eco 12th level and all the sources including NCERT mentioned the GDP for which the territory of a country were produced by the resident or non-resident. I teach eco at 12th level and in all sources including NCERT is mentioned that the GDP is for which within the territory of a country were produced by the resident or non-resident. See, this is the problem with the NCRT, right? If a person is in a country and he is generating the income, then only that income will be the part of country's GDP. Any person who is working in an embassy, he will be not considered as a resident of India, and his income will be not part of India's GDP. For example, you are working for UN. UN is not a country. You are working for United Nations in India. Suppose that there is a African or a person coming from South Africa. He is a South African and he came to India to work for UNICEF in India, right? So he will be not considered as a resident and his income will be the not part of India's GDP. You have to take this, right? If it is written somewhere, it is not correct. Only residents' income will be calculated the part of GDP whenever we will calculate the GDP. Non-residents' income is not calculated. Lakshmi Nivas Mittal, I have given you the example of Lakshmi Nivas Mittal. He is an Indian citizen. He is an Indian citizen, but he is residing outside the India and he has a lot of wealth. If we are going to calculate all of his wealth in India's GDP is going to be increased exponentially, right? So it is not true. And what you are saying that Shashwat, that is for GNP, not for GDP. Whatever the things you are saying here, that is for GNP, not for GDP. Okay. See, it is not necessary all three conditions must be satisfied. Any of the three conditions must be satisfied, not all conditions, right? So if you are in Indian exclusive economic zone, if you are in Indian exclusive zone, so do you think that government of India is going to allow him to do the economic activity here? Do you think government of India is going to allow him to do the fishing activity in our territorial means our exclusive economic zone without proper license? No, government of India will not allow him to do the economic activity without proper license. So he must have to take the license. Licensing means what? You will be registered as a resident Indian and your income will be taxable in India. Only then you are able to do that thing. So we will presume that if you are in the exclusive economic zone, you are resident. Without resident, government of India is not going to allow you to do the economic activity. Na? You can use our exclusive economic zone for passage. Suppose that that boat is going from China to Bangladesh. So for the freedom of navigation, you can use that thing, use that part, right? But you cannot use the territory of India, exclusive economic zone of India, for the purpose of what? For the purpose of fishing activity, because it's economic activity and India has an exclusive right. And if India has an exclusive right, you must satisfy the government of India by producing the documents. And for that, you have to take the license. And for license, you have to apply as a resident. Means the resident condition will be automatically satisfied in that case. Citizenship of the child, if the citizenship is means, see, any birth in a country is considered as a, if any birth is going to happen in a country, then that child is going to be the, by birth he is going to be the part of citizen of that country. But in case you are born in embassy, then in that case you will be considered as a Indian citizen only, or you are going to by default have a citizenship of India. If child is born, Indian parents who are working in the embassy and child is born in embassy itself. The child is born in embassy itself, not in the hospital, any other hospital outside the embassy. If birth is happened in the inside the embassy, he will be the Indian citizen. If the birth is going to be happen, what? If birth is going to happen outside the embassy in any hospital in United States of America, then he can claim to be a citizen of USA. This is the scenario. Embassies does not come in the domestic. Yes, embassies never consider. Julian Assange, Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, he was hiding in Ecuadorian embassy for more than 6 years. For more than 6 years, he was in Ecuadorian embassy, and you know that outside the US, outside the Ecuadorian embassy in UK, there was an embassy of Ecuador, right? Here, Julian Assange was taken a refuge, and British police was standing outside the embassy for 6 years. On routine basis, they are standing outside the embassy to arrest him, but they cannot enter in the embassy. Whenever you will have an opportunity to go to Chanakyapuri area of Delhi, you will find that outside the embassy there is a long hurdles are being there. They will not allow you to enter in the embassy in the very easy manner. They will not allow you. Then he cannot apply for RBI grade B. Yes, he cannot apply for the RBI grade B. I hope this resident part is clear. Is this resident part is clear? Now, one thing is last thing, that is factor income. In order to understand factor income, let's start with market price. Okay, sir, do embassies own the land or the pay to rent to India? It's one time payment. It's one time payment to that country. Embassy is something like a space where that country. That is why some African countries do not have their embassies. Some African countries do not have their embassies. They are very small and tiny nations. They are very poor, so they do not have a money to establish embassies. So one time you have to pay that country. If you want to establish an embassy in a particular area, you have to pay to purchase that land, right? So that is that country's land. Means that is the land of United States of America and India, and whatever. This is why some properties owned by the government of India in different countries, that was put under the arbitration by this Devos multimedia group. They are saying that these are the properties of government of India in France, and we have to take it in order to follow the arbitration, right? Is it clear? Political knowledge. Acha. Okay. Now, just understand what is the difference between factor in. What is factor income actually? But to make you understand what is factor income, I'll start with market price. So I'm a foodie person. I love sweets. So I'll start with I'll give you the example of sweets. Right. Suppose that any sweet you want to suggest. So I'll take the example of that sweet or anything you want, any food item you want to put it here. So I'll put it here to explain you. Kaju katli bus stop. That's sufficient. Santra barfi. Santra barfi from Maharashtra. Rasgulla. Wow. From Kolkata. Kaju katli. Okay. Enough. No need to suggest anything else. I'm all already मतलब मुंह में पानी आ गया, माउथ वाटरिंग वाला स्टार्ट हो गया है. So let's focus. Suppose that the price of that sweet, काजू कतली ले लेते हैं, अरे जलेबी from Bihar, Nagpur. Nagpur is famous for orange barfi. Rasgulla is from Kolkata and also famous from Odisha, but Kolkata means Bengal. And in my Kanpur hometown, there is a sweet shop known as ठग्गू के लड्डू. ठग्गू के लड्डू, ऐसा कोई सगा नहीं जिसको हमने ठगा नहीं. So this is the punchline of that sweet shop. ऐसा कोई सगा नहीं means no of my relative I have did the ठगिंग. Right? So ऐसा कोई सगा नहीं जिसको हमने ठगा नहीं. Right? So ठग्गू के लड्डू. बदनाम कुल्फी, ठग्गू के लड्डू एंड समोसा. Enough, बस enough. No, I'm not going to talk on this sweets. I'll take another example. Otherwise I will be lost also. Yes, there was a controversy between Odisha and Bengal regarding Rasgulla. Yes. Anybody can tell me means why Chena sweets are very famous in Bengal and Odisha? There is one more reason. Even in the south, all the southern states, Chena sweets, because milk is not going to sustain for a long time because of the climate. So the people of that region have very effectively and very smartly start utilizing that milk which is not able to sustain for a long time for making the Chena sweets. Okay, suppose that there is a sweet having price tag of 700 rupees per kg. This is the price on which he is selling, right? That is 700 rupees per kg. That is its market price. So what is market price? On the price, if we do sell that particular item is known as market price. So what market prices comprise of? What are the things are included in the market price? First of all, taxes by the government, right? The taxes of the government. Sometimes suppose that it is not a sweet, suppose that it is a medicine, right? And medicine is very costly, and in order to bring down the price, government will ask manufacturer ki, okay, you should bring down the price. To bring down the price, we will compensate you. That is subsidies, right? So market price is comprised of taxes and subsidies also, right? In this case, because we are taking an example of sweet, so we are not going to consider any subsidy will be there, right? Why subsidy? Because it's a sweet, it's not going to be kind of essential thing, so subsidy will be not there definitely. But apart from the taxes and subsidy, what other things are going to be the part of this market price? We called it as a factor cost, that is comprised of cost on land, labor and capital. So cost on land, labor and capital. So if it is a sweet shop, for a sweet shop, some refrigerator, some mixer grinder, some other equipments, raw material, all these things means raw material, raw material is also going to be the part of factor cost, right? So factor cost is comprised of what? Factor cost is comprised of all money spent on land, labor, capital, raw material, right? All the money spent on land, labor, capital, raw material, it is going to be the part of factor cost. Yes, sugar patients, so there will be no subsidy on the sweets. So, can we say that the market price is comprised of factor cost plus IDT, means indirect taxes. Why I'm calling indirect taxes? Because these taxes are being paid by that sweet shop, but sweet shop is going to take this money from whom? Customers. So customers are indirectly paying this tax to the government. So that is why indirect taxes. And then I will subtract subsidies. Why subsidies is being subtracted? Subsidies is being subtracted. The amount of subsidies is subtracted from the market in the market price, because subsidies are being given to bring down the price. So that is why subsidies will be in the minus. Fine. So market price is comprised of what? Factor cost, indirect taxes, and subsidies. So when we say what is factor cost, factor cost is market price plus subsidies minus indirect taxes. So suppose that I told you he is selling 700 rupees per kg. Okay, he is selling 700 rupees per kg this sweet. Okay, just consider this is the country X. This is country X, where in this country X there is only one production activity by this sweet shop, and this sweet shop is selling single commodity at the price of 700 rupees kg. In this country there is one single economic activity, and that is of making sweets, and they are making only one sweet, and they are selling at 700 rupees per kg. Now we want to know what is the GDP of country X. We want to know what is the country GDP X. So we know that this is the price on which they are selling, right? Now we have to find it out how much he sold. So when we collected the data, we found that he sold 100 kg, right? Or suppose that he sold 1000 kg. So if he sold 1000 kg in a year, if he sold 1000 kg in a year with the price of 700 rupees per kg, how much he earned? He earned 7 lakh. He earned 7 lakh, and there is no other economic activity, only one economic activity. So GDP of X is 7 lakh. However, this price is what? Market price. So we can say that GDP at market price is 7 lakh. Whereas when we have further investigated, we found that this 700 rupees price, he is the selling price of 700 rupees is comprised of 600 rupees of factor cost plus 100 rupees of IDT, whereas subsidies are zero. So 600 rupees, or even if you don't know what is the factor price, what is the factor cost, you don't know, you just got this information, you got the information कि they are paying 100 rupees tax per kg of this price, right? So GDP at factor cost is going to be how much? 6 lakh. GDP is going to be, yes, RF. These taxes are essentially indirect taxes. So GDP at market price is 7 lakh. GDP at factor cost is 6 lakhs. Now, what it means that it's very important in order to keep this thing in the mind, factor cost and market price, you must know what it means that, right? It means that a country is generating 7 lakh rupees of income, including taxes, right? Including taxes. But this 6 lakh rupees income, is generated in a country with factor variables like land, labor, and capital. This 100 rupees, definitely, this 100 rupees out of this 7 lakh, 6 lakh, 6 lakh is going to whom? This 6 lakh is going to whom? This 6 lakh is going to who is providing the land, labor, and capital. So this money is going to be circulated among the citizens on its own. On its own is going to be circulated. Whereas 100 rupees is going to the government, and it is up to the government where government is going to spend that 100 rupees, or say out of this 7 lakh, 6 lakh is going in the factor cost. 6 lakh is going into the factor cost. 1 lakh is going to whom? 1 lakh is going to the government. Now it is up to the government whether they are going to spend this money. GDP at market price was 7 lakh. Okay, that is of 7 lakh. And out of this 7 lakh, 6 lakhs plus 1 lakh. This is going to be in the form of what? Factor cost. And that is what? What is the factor cost? Money goes in the form of land, labor, capital, purchasing the raw material, paying the salary of their workers, right? All these things you are going to spend. All these things, all this 6 lakhs is going to be there. Whereas 1 lakh is going to whom? Government. And government have to decide whether they are going to spend this money on revenue expenditure or capital expenditure. So when we say this is also what? GDP at factor cost. So GDP at factor cost is going to tell us how much money is being generated by the economic activity in the territory of India by resident Indians. Okay, whereas GDP at market price is also show that of how much government is going to get also. So market price also show that how much government is also going to get it, right? So this is why yes. So this is why both are very important. GDP at FC, GDP at MP. Right? Is it clear? Is it clear? So from this discussion, I have started with what is the GDP. I have given the example of Simon Kuznets. So I hope what is GDP is clear. GDP is an income generated in a country. Number one, income generated in a country, and that income must be generated by residents, right? And after that, we can go for both calculations. either GDP at factor cost or GDP at market prices, right? GDP at factor cost, GDP at market prices. Fine. So have for government both are important, because market price, I told you, it is comprises of what? Indirect taxes and subsidies. And in the budget document, I showed you how much government of India, huge amount of money is going to be spent by the government on subsidies, right? And indirect taxes income is an important source of revenue for the government. So for government, it is very important to calculate the market price. Whereas at the same time, government also have to calculate the factor cost, because it is also going to show how much money is going to be circulated among the Indians through the economic activity without government's interference. Government interference in terms of what? Subsidies and indirect taxes. Right? So, this is why both are very important. I'm not going to attend any such kind of the question like what Arif is asking me right now, general GDP predictions. I'm not going, I'm telling you again and again, I'm always a kind of person who go to the systematic learning and understanding. So just focus all these things, clear one by one, each and everything is going to be clear. Everything is, I'm going to explain everything, but I'm not going to jump. I'm not going to jump. So whether you are going to take it as कि सर को पता ही नहीं होगा, I'll accept it. I'll accept it कि हाँ मुझे नहीं पता है, but I'm not going to explain. I will explain only when this thing will come. So with me, you can see it as a problem or as a part of my personality or the way of my teaching. I'll go step by step, because economics is a kind of subject where you have to go step by step if you want to learn properly and consolidate for the longer duration. And I did this thing on my own. So I believe in this method. Okay, Arif. So I'll explain you, don't worry. If you will read properly, you will find whatever they are mentioning, they will mention it properly. And if they are not mentioning, generally it is factor cost. Generally they do mention. If they are not mentioning, you can consider as a factor cost. Sir, please share the study plan and if possible arrange webcam. Webcam? Webcam is not working. I'm using webcam actually. It's there is a separate webcam I'm using. Acha, okay, video call. Okay, fine. Okay. Within next 2 to 3 days, I'm going to conduct this Zoom session for you. Right. I'll first see how. Okay. Okay, in next 2 to 3 days, I'm going to conduct this Zoom session, and I hope it is, if it is possible to, if I'll see means how many students are there. If there is a more number of the student, then I'll divide into two groups and I'll take that Zoom session. Zoom session is on board. Zoom session actually it was planned, but this bad health and I have this problem. Ki one, I mean generally I'm not going to face this kind of the fever or these things, but whenever these things will come, they will come one by one, right? And they take for at least 1 week. They are like कि it's long time we are not here with you, so we are going to here with you. मतलब आपके साथ हमने बहुत टाइम स्पेंड नहीं किया, तो एटलीस्ट 1-1.5 हफ्ता स्पेंड करेंगे. All these kind of the headache and all these diseases, right? So I will announce tomorrow for the Zoom session. Tomorrow I will announce the Zoom session. Okay. So before winding up, actually I have started at 9 and I went for 10:30. My question is, 1.5 hour is okay, or should I go for 1 hour only? Sleeping problem is better right now. I'm able to sleep 5.5 hour. So it's okay right now. I'm able to sleep. So I hope 1.5 hour is perfect, right? So just acknowledge me in the chat box. 1.5 hour. Priya is saying that 1 hour. Okay. Class is interactive. I'll tell you one secret. If you are in front of me and I have tested this thing many times, I'll tell you this thing. Up to you. Thank you. Priya, try to accommodate it. If there will be any problem, let me know. But my request, please, for come for 1.5 hour, so that because we have lost few precious time in past last 5 to 6 days we have lost. So at least let's cover that part. After that, if it is not going to work, definitely I'll shift to 1 hour. Thank you, Joshua. I'll tell you one thing. So there is a means the coaching where I am working. I'm not allowed to tell the thing on the camera. Means the name of the institute. It's a professional thing, right? So that's why I'm not able to tell you the name. So, but there is a 1.5 hour session, 2 sessions. So most of the time, what institute will do whenever they do not have any other teacher, they'll ask me to take the class. They'll ask me to take the class, and they will say that, sir, 1.5 hour class. If students are not comfortable, means you can leave the class. But if they are comfortable, you can go for whatever you want to take. And literally telling you, 3 hours without break, people are happy. I said that if you have a nature call or you want to drink the water, you can go outside. Otherwise, I'm a kind of person who is going to engage you for 3 hours, and you are going to enjoy that 3 hours of learning with me. But this online platform, we have a lot of constraints, right? So it is not possible to extend to such a duration. And even I'm not agree if somebody is going to say that, sir, we can go for 2.5 hour or 3 hour. I'm not agree because it's a little bit hectic. It's a little bit problematic. But 1.5 hour, I think you are going to enjoy this learning part. So for some time, we will go with this 1.5 hour. After that, uh, once the things are going to be on path properly, then again I'll discuss with you. If required, 1.5 hour will continue, otherwise we'll come back to 1 hour. Okay. So tomorrow I'll let you know about the GNP and other things also. Fine. So next lecture is going to be what? Little bit more technical. Today's lecture was more informative in the nature. Next lecture is going to be little bit more technical in the nature. Okay. सर फेज 1 का मॉक कहाँ से दें? Where from wherever you want to give it, but don't take it seriously. Okay, it's like what means you should not be very serious with your performance, right? Just do the mocks for the practice only. If your performance is not good enough, don't worry, because all the people who are giving the free mocks, they will give you the free because they want to scare you, right? They are giving the free mock and all these things. See, in this world nothing is free, everything is on condition. The way they are decepting you is a free, right? So nothing is free, everything having the tag, price tag, sometime hidden, sometime open price tag. So do give the mock from wherever you want to give, but just give the mocks for the practice, because the difficulty level, it's going to be little bit higher in order to scare you, and after being scared you are going to join those courses, right? So this is why they do give some free mocks. Use them. for your practice only. Wherever you are not able to solve it, try to solve it by doing the practice. But don't use as a performance parameter. Use it as a practice parameter. So there is one practice, there is one performance. Performance is going to be evaluated if your practice is going to be good. So use that platform for practice purpose. सर क्रैक ग्रेड बी कोर्स के लिए है वहां पर मॉक अवेलेबल होंगे क्या? यस, मॉक विल बी अवेलेबल. सर should all we crack grade B subscriber have to come? Kanpur will also happy. But I am not in Kanpur. I am in Hyderabad. I stay in Hyderabad. Kanpur is my hometown. So you are most welcome to Hyderabad. See, Chetan, one thing I just want to let you, all of you, in competitive exam, there is always a surprise element, right? Because apart from the surprise element, they do not have any other option, because lot of material, each and everything is available, right? People are claiming lot of things, right? People are claiming a lot of things, right? So even for example interviews, right? People are saying that we are offering the interview board with the RBI people, right? That's good, the RBI people. But my question is, what kind of the interview thing they are going to let you know? Means if somebody is coming from the bank, right? If somebody is coming from the bank, he is specialized in the banking services, and at the time of retirement, right? At the time of retirement, people are about to, means they have completed their job, right? So being as a face of the interview board, the retired RBI officer, retired IAS. So for example, in UPSC interview, most of the people will ask the retired and retired bureaucrat or retired member, right? So that retired bureaucrat, okay, that retired bureaucrat, he has nothing related to the UPSC aspirants interview, because he is a behind the generation, for at least three generation behind. When he joined the civil services, now you want to join the civil services, there is a difference of three generation of doing the work, doing the things, doing the understanding the things. But aspirants, if people like me are going to sit in the interview and take the interview, they feel little bit what they, how he can take my interview. But they are happy with that person who is having a lot of experience as a bureaucrat. So his experience is with the bureaucrat, he is a bureaucrat, so he is having the experience of the bureaucrat. A banker is having the experience of running the bank, not doing this interview. So if I am doing the interview for 3-4 years, I know that where you are going to fail or where you are going to pass, what kind of the questions they are asking to you, right? So this is my specialized area. So students get mesmerized that board is comprised of senior most bureaucrats or senior people from RBI. They are going to ask very generic questions. You can join and you can see that they are going to ask very generic questions. They are not going to pinpoint of your personality part, which is the most important part of your interview, because all the technical things you can learn on your own to answer, but the personality part you have to answer as per today's requirement. आज से 30 साल पहले, go back to 30 years, there was a situation, is there was a situation कि you have completed your education and after that 4-5 years you are just doing the preparation. Do people allow 30 years back? No, people do not allow you 30 years back. आज से 30 साल पहले allow नहीं होता था कि you have completed your education and you are sitting. Rare of the rare cases, now it is a common practice in India. People will complete their education and then they are preparing for the government. Do you know the psyche? You don't know the psyche, so you're not going to ask this question. But the irony is what? Ki these things are beyond understanding of the aspirants, right? So my take is what? Use whatever is available, right? Don't fall in the trap. Don't fall in the trap. Use your mind, use your brain, use whatever the sources are available on the internet, right? So for me, internet, especially social media. It's like a public toilet where you can go whenever you have any nature's call. Otherwise, just leave it. So use it. Don't be in trap. Okay. So fine. So Venkat, I am in Ashok Nagar. Okay. Fine. So let's wind up today's session. Tomorrow I'll start at 9 and gradually I'll shift it to 8. Okay, 8 to 9:30. But tomorrow it's 9. Tomorrow it's 9, but gradually I'll shift it to 8 to 9:30. Okay? Thank you.